Okay, so before I get started with Scorpio, I just want to remind you guys that if you're interested in an archetypal astrology reading with me, where I help you to become the hero in your own life story, you can find out more about me and my services and my website, thetruestnorth.com. You can get in touch with me through email at thetruestnorth@gmail.com, thetruestnorth@gmail.com. You can go to my Facebook page, The Truest North, and you can contact me actually through my Instagram, I believe, which is at The Truest North as well. So all those links will be below in the description. Okay, so for Scorpio, you have the Pluto South Node conjunction at 23 degrees of Capricorn happening in your third house. Now, you're going to feel this all month, but especially on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, it's sort of happening alongside the new moon. And that is the letting go of outworn, outdated structures related to your thinking and your perceptions, and also how you think, how you communicate, how you speak, read, and write. The third house is also your relationship with your siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, any small groups that you're a part of, how you do business, how you market, how you handle commerce, if those are fields that you're in, and your neighborhood, really. And so anything that you have in that area that is built on fear-based, shaky ground, fear-based, shaky foundation, that's going to have to be let go of and rebuilt from scratch, so that your thinking, your perceptions are more in tune with who you are, your authentic self. That's what Pluto does. It destroys what is like dead weight in us, what is not true in us. And with Saturn Pluto South Node, the Saturn Pluto South Node conjunction, those outdated structures of thinking, of perceiving, of communicating, they're going to have to go. And so that's where you're feeling the pressure to release. And on the 24th and the 29th, Saturn and Pluto and Saturn are going to station retrograde. And of course, retrograde planets appear to be closer to us. And so that part of the psyche requires more work from us consciously. And Saturn, again, is structures, and Pluto is the destruction of that which is no longer needed. And so this is a chance they'll be retrograde until September and October. And so you have the next few months to, review, reevaluate what is needed as far as your thinking and perception goes, and what is not needed. And, what are you going to let go once these planets, what are you letting go now? But also these next few months, you need to find out, is there anything else that I need to let go of? Because the Saturn-Pluto conjunction at 23 degrees of Capricorn is happening in January 2020. And, with Pluto, it's always easier to deal with it if you give it up willingly, even though it can be hard. So you can avoid, being like any power struggles or terror if Pluto has to knock it down with you having chosen to remain unconscious to what it was trying to do in you. Okay, so the new moon at 15 degrees of Aries in your 6th house is happening on April 5th, 4:50 a.m. Eastern. And, the new moon, the effects of the new moon last like for, it's strongest for the next few days after the new moon, but then up until the full moon, you have the support to start something new. But I do want to tell you, like the day of the full moon and the next couple of days, use that energy to take action and initiate something related to your 6th house. At least start on it. So the new moon is about new beginnings, new seeds being planted, and Aries is also about new beginnings. So you have that double symbolism. That double, it's like a twice the dose of support from the universe to initiate new things, especially something that takes a lot of courage, because Aries is a courageous sign. And the sixth house is your date of, again, it's a house that has to do with your daily routine, your daily work routine, your daily like work environment, like your coworkers, your desk space, like all that stuff has to do with the sixth house. It's also, your daily routine, what time you get up in the morning, how you organize your day, how you expend your energy throughout the day, your health routine, and it rules your health routine and the imbalance, the balancing, the homeostasis of the body. That's sixth house. So it's a house of health and sickness. It also rules, our how we use the skills that we perfected. It's about the service that we provide to society, how we care for those who are dependent on us in some way. So if you're working with someone who is underprivileged in some way, or your pets, your employees who are who depend on you, that would be sixth house. Sixth house is the house of work, or your pets. Those are people that depend on you. These are all sixth house, and sixth house has to do with differentiation and setting boundaries. These are all sixth house things. So taking new action in that area, starting that new health plan. Taking courageous action, at work, maybe starting some new work project, or giving yourself new work responsibilities that, maybe are pioneering, because Aries is the pioneer in some way. That's all supported for you now. And then Mars, the ruler of the new moon, is transiting Gemini in your eighth house. Now, the eighth house is the house of, the eighth house and the sixth house areas for this new moon are going to be connected. So you've got the sixth house areas that I just talked about connected to the eighth house area of shared resources, those things we share with other people, shared finances, shared talent, shared possessions, or somebody else's talents, possessions that we have access to, and what we're able to receive. So perhaps, this new moon and Mars, the ruler, being in the eighth house, perhaps it has something to do with you courageously receiving or courageously using someone else's resources. Or the eighth house is the house of bonding, intimacy. So maybe this sixth house, this new moon has something to do with you having the courage to intimately bond with another person. The eighth house is also the house of hidden knowledge, deep research. And, with Gemini being such a learning sign, it may have something to do with that as well. Taking initiative on that. The eighth house has to do with astrology. So taking initiative to, for some people, this can be like taking initiative to become an astrologer. Eighth house working with sixth house, making that your daily work. Yes. So what else is the eighth house? Deep research. It has to do with psychology, mysticism, traumatic experiences, healing. So I could see how that will work with the new moon. Sixth house, the homeostasis of the body, health, sickness, and then the eighth house, healing. Maybe there's some connection that you could make that the universe is supporting you in there. A healthy diet leading to healing, something in your body. So that's how it could work for you. So the fire grand trine that's happening on April 14th is happening in your second, sixth, and 10th house. Those are the material houses that have to do with us getting the resources in the material world that we need, the ease of access that we have to those things. And with a fire grand trine, you're going to have a lot of luck in securing resources. Second house, money. Sixth house, you have a functioning daily routine. a well-functioning daily routine, or like the sixth house is the house of, the problems that we have to attend to in life. You get a solution to something like that's been problematic for you. 10th house, you have luck in your career, in your status, and being recognized and honored. And so, so related to, your material needs, your career, your work, the use of your talent, second house, you are very lucky and supported in that day. So go for it. Full moon on the 19th is happening at 29 degrees of Libra in your 12th house. Now, the 12th house is the most mysterious house. It's the last house. It's a deeply psychological house. One of those houses that are connected to the collective unconscious. And the full moon always has to do with revealing revelations of some sort, and something coming to fruition. So the full moon happening in the 12th house is shining a light on something that is more connected to your unconscious, or something that's hidden away from the rest of the world. So it could have to do with lots of 12th house themes, revelations regarding the need for balanced relationships, harmony, equality in 12th house areas of spirituality, mysticism, meditation, focusing inward, escape, surrender, letting go. Those are all 12th house things. Being isolated and getting away from the world. The 12th house rules libraries, hospitals, prisons, monasteries, spas, retreats, faraway lands that you go away to get away from it all. Like a faraway island would be like a 12th house thing. And expenses are also 12th house, karmic debts. So some light regarding on those topics, and how balance and equality can be brought to those things is going to be revealed to you. And now the full moon is ruled by Venus in Pisces, which is forming an in conjunction to this full moon from your 5th house. And an in conjunction is always represents some kind of incongruency, some kind of adjustment that needs to be made. So whatever revelations you're getting from this full moon and related to those 12th house issues, you have to find a way to balance it with 5th house issues of joy. What brings you joy, happiness? What is your authentic self-expression? What creative talent do you have to share with the world? What brings you, like, love, romance, hobbies? Just the 5th house is the house of, what makes us happy, what makes us joyful. And, that has to be adjusted with these full moon revelations that you're getting in the 12th house in some way. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to manifest for you. That depends on your individual chart, your individual life story, and what's going on, alongside these aspects for you. But certainly something needs to be adjusted to have those two areas of your life work together. And the Venus is in Pisces, so there may be some need for sacrifice, surrender, and letting go related to those 5th house issues. 5th house also has to do with our creations, the creations of the mind as well as of the body. So that includes your children. And then finally, the sun will conjunct Uranus at 2 degrees of Taurus in your 7th house. Sun conjunct Uranus always has to do with being stimulated, excited, wanting to break away from routine and tradition. And for you, that's happening in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, one-on-one partnerships with spouse, business partner, client, or close friend, negotiations, contracts. So who knows, there may be a contract you're set up to sign, or some negotiation in some relationship that you have with another person that you sort of have second thoughts about that day, and you sort of unexpectedly back out. It doesn't have to manifest like that, but certainly in the area of relationships, one-on-one partnerships, expect the unexpected on that day. And Scorpio, that is it for you. Enjoy the month.